Greetings everybody and welcome to Module 7. Today is Thursday, May 11th, and I apologize for getting this discussion underway so late, but as you know, I had to format everything to make sure that we could accommodate both the higher ed and the K-12 tracks in this discussion. So in my email to you, I alluded to the fact that if there was a point where the data-driven decision-making process would come to a screeching halt, it is in this last phase of the DataWise model. And in this last phase, we have three parts to it. We have the action plan, which we're going to look at momentarily. I'll walk you through this. Then we have acting, meaning putting the plan into place, and then assessing what you've done. So the most difficult component that we're going to see here is the resistance that you'll find from the team you're supposed to be collaborating with, in that the action plan is going to mean that somebody or something has to change. And so planning for change, researching data, all easy to do. This last phase is where the chances of failure become a reality. So without further ado, let's jump into this PowerPoint and see where we're headed. What you see here is, out of the 8 steps, we're now on step 6. See if you'll pick up my cursor down here. Developing the action plan. Whether at higher ed or whether at K-12, we are engaging in the same process, where once we understand what we're looking at, whether it is examining instruction for this module, and the DataWise, we're looking at the case of the elementary school and the high school, and then I'm going to discuss a little bit about higher ed as we go through this. We know we have to develop a plan, and in doing so, we go through several steps. The overall part of this is, as you see, it fits in with develop the action plan, plan to assess the progress, and then act on the changes and assess what has been done. So in this particular case, we're looking at instructional strategy that would solve the problem that you might have identified. Working collaboratively to describe what this strategy might look like when implemented in the classroom is a difficult part, because this is where you're starting to get agreement on the process of agreeing that where the change is going to take place. And now here is where it starts to get uncomfortable, as mentioning to you, documenting the team members' responsibilities. Okay, that means that somebody will be responsible for making a change, and somebody will be responsible for implementing or providing resources to support that plan. So here we have 4 tasks. What's the instructional strategy in this case? What's the plan going to look like? Put the plan down on paper, and describe how you will know if the plan is working or not, which is the next chapter. This is this is part of the issue, is that when you get together with your team and you put the plan down on paper, everybody starts realizing, oh, I guess that means me, or that means my class, or that means our grade. Suddenly the commitment becomes significantly measurable. The commitment becomes something that has to be done and has to be measured. So wiggling out from the change or agreeing to change now becomes very difficult. And in this particular case, we're talking about an instructional strategy. So what would be the unit of improvement? Content area, grade level, whole building. What's that scope of the problem itself? And what factors, such as the availability of resources or faculty capacity to change, might be relevant here. So these are questions we want to address in the discussion of 7.1, which is looking at Clark and Franklin. In this process, we're really talking about this idea of brainstorming possible solutions. What one idea here is this you'll see cafe protocol here, where the process of bringing solutions to the table can be solidified, and then whatever method is chosen will be separate from the idea generation and idea evaluation session. So this is really examples of some steps in the process. So what do you discuss on the solution? Well, two important ideas here is, number one, the feasibility of implementing a change strategy, and the impact of it, whether or not it could potentially work. What, in our case, do we see as opportunities for change, and how likely would those changes be effective? So when we're looking at Clark School here, we're looking at develop the student's inference vocabulary. Impact, very possibly, as you see here, low to medium. Feasibility, very high. Adopt a new curriculum, impact, very high. Feasibility, very low. And so this inherently then is part of the point at where we see the process of data-driven decision-making becoming very difficult, because you have to decide where you want the impact or the growth to occur and how likely that's going to happen. On a different slide, I'll show you actually on a real data dashboard how this decision plays out. So we'll take a look at that in a minute. I want to move on to the next slide. So here we need to agree on what the plan will look like. What's the common vision? What's the shared understanding? What would students be doing? And what would the environment look like when that instructional strategy is put into place? And so, given that idea, what professional development or what research for best practice would be put in place and underlie the change? And as you read the factors of the case, you can see where that information is coming out. So now, what would the plan look like in the classrooms? And you see that we have a couple perspectives. The teachers, the students, the classroom, and the student work. I think one of the biggest one of the biggest things that we want to see is the display of evidence in the classroom of students inferring from the text. As a high impact skill and a feasible display of evidence to see that what you're doing works, this is where I would push for the implementation to see the evidence of what they're doing. So once you put down the plan on paper, assign responsibilities, plan how to support the teachers in their new work, and here's where we're getting to that fail part. Look down here where my cursor is, the new work, and so that means something's going to have to change. The instructional strategies will have to change, and some professional development activities will need to be put into place. So here we get into, again, the most difficult part is now we're looking at who is going to put the plan into place and when it's going to happen. So we're tightening the noose of change, so to speak, and we are describing now what resources would be put in place to support that change, support Anita, and what supports are going to be most effective if they are what. In this case, we're looking at coherent, content-focused, and frequent. So that is the end of the presentation here. Thank you for your attention, and I will see you in the discussion.